My grandmother is an absolute wizard in the kitchen. She can make a meal out of almost anything. Seriously, one time she made a 7-course meal out of a radish, 3 Twizzlers, a bunch of kale, and an expired can of tuna. It was incredible. My mother, on the other hand, couldn't make pancakes with a package of Bisquick and a tutorial. I just don't get it. But I have a theory. Cooking is like magic. Old ladies do it best. But, as Grandma always says, if you want to get good at something, you have to put in the time. Is that why Grandma and Grandpa have 11 kids? Cooking isn't hard. It's just not for the faint of heart or stomach. Today, I will teach you all I know about cooking as we forage for the ingredients, stir the soup to make our masterpiece, and pass the plate to show how good it looks. First, we will forage for the ingredients. There are many different places to get these ingredients, like my grandmother's cellar. That lady has canned goods from the Great Depression era. One time, during a tornado, my brother and I were down there, and we found these tomatoes. And maybe they taste a little funny, but they kept us up all night hallucinating. Or you could go to the dumpster behind Uncle Hugh's Steamed Cabbage Emporium, your premium source for cabbage and cabbage-like substances. If you get lucky, sometimes you can find ingredients you can't even get in stores anymore, like blue sugar or green bread. There's also my school cafeteria for ingredients. I'm there every single day, and they're practically just giving that stuff out. Is it quality? No. Is it cheap? Yes. And I know what you're thinking. I'd use a grocery store as an ingredient source. No. Grocery stores are for amateurs. I prefer to get my groceries at the store across the street from the Dollar General. You know, the other Dollar General. Now that we've found the locations, we need to determine quality ingredients from not so quality ingredients. Like, you could look for smell. Food must tantalize the olfactory senses, like my hand after I dip it in the pudding on the Pizza Hut salad bar. Call me Ron DeSantis. Food you plan to eat must also look good. You want to pick a nice, blemish-free vegetable with a good personality and able to take a joke. But don't be too worried if there's mold, because that is just saving you money on penicillin. And taste. Many people will call this unsanitary, but if you take a bite out of the food at the grocery store, you can get a sneak peek at all the flavors you can harness, like putting some lemon on the funky tasting raw pork tenderloin. Next, we will stir the soup to make our masterpiece. To do this, we'll need a recipe. And where to get a recipe other than the internet? There's millions, because as it turns out, anyone can just post things there. The only problem with the internet, anyone can just post things there. You have to wade your way through 6 ads, 3 pop-ups, the entire life story of a poster, and a virus discovered by an antivirus software you don't even have. Maybe it's best to stay away from the internet. I heard they print entire books full of these things. They can be found in libraries, landfills, the majority of Midwestern kitchens, and apparently my grandmother's cellar. Oh, hey, these are the cookies she always used to make. And this is her beef loaf. Hazel's hallucinogenic tomato soup. Maybe those tomatoes weren't just going bad. What if they were from Grandma's experimental era back in the 60s? But to truly read the recipe, that can be tricky, because reading a recipe is like deciphering the Epstein flight logs. Why was Stephen Hawking there? Is it too late to put in my bets for who was on the list? What's a tablespoon? People also like to mix and match on the following of the instructions. Like if the recipe says that you should stir it, just shake a little bit, it'll be fine. Or measure out 2 cups, just follow your heart to deliciousness. Or bake for 2 hours, I'll take it out of the oven when I'm ready to eat. Pink chicken's healthy, right? Finally, we will pass the plate and show how good it looks. To do this, most people like to get white plates or fancy china. I like to be a bit more creative though, like putting pizza on a trash can lid. It's a great way to throw away the crust you don't eat anyway. Or putting that spaghetti in a novelty mug. You have a million of them and don't use it for anything else. Or putting those tacos in a speech binder. We all have one. People also like to use some herbs and spices to add to the dish. I like to be a bit more creative though, like doing what my grandma does with some assorted children's teeth dipped in honey. I think she's the tooth fairy. I hope she's the tooth fairy. Or you could go to your local pharmacy and ask for the sprinkles they give out. You do need a random name and birthday to get them though. Like Irma Gunderson. Her sprinkles are amazing. Or you could get some bleach and some chloroform and give it to your favorite person. You have that. But to truly capitalize on the plates and garnishes, you need a mix and match depending on what effect you want. Like, do you want a silly salsa and chips? Why don't you get tortilla chips and use dumpster sugar instead of salt? And your hand as a bowl. Or do you want leftovers that will actually taste good? Just get some fast food today, put some salad dressing on it, and eat it tomorrow. Today, we foraged for the ingredients, stirred the soup to make our masterpiece, and passed the plate and showed how good it looks. Cooking isn't hard. It's just not for the faint of heart or stomach. And while maybe my mom can't cook like my grandma can, she isn't as old and hasn't had much practice. We should just give her a little more time. Or I could make her one of my donuts.